On these Saturday afternoon games in Tucson, it's 80 degrees. None of us want to be here. So I'm joking.
Your 50th birthday present?
Yeah, it was good. It was a good 50th birthday, and this is a crazy number to say, but I'm glad I'm celebrating it in Tucson. I'm glad I'm celebrating it with a win.
Your offense is one of those, and we talk about all the time, the ball finds the open net. Today it did that, and it has a little. You feel the same? Is it looking?
I feel like it's coming on. It's coming on. Listen, there's no secret. Our deal is predicated on ball movement and player movement, and that's not always easy to get, but there has to be a willingness to do it. I think our guys are getting there, and they're fighting for it, so I was really happy with that.
Especially against a zone today, because zones sometimes are tricky and have been in the past.
Yeah, and theirs was more of a matchup. If we want to get into the weeds of it, so there's some man-to-man elements of it, and so basically what happens, when you're a matchup, your high post is always matched up with. There's not that big gaping hole you'd see in a normal 2-3 zone, so you have to kind of change some of your movements, and it takes a little bit of time to get used to. And I think after our first run, we kind of settled in, and our guys got a little more comfortable with how we could move against it, and we ran a few of our man sets against it, and it worked.
Would you say overall these 2 games at home kind of helped what you needed basically after that?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, we're at where we're at, and these last 2 games, I think there's a lot of positive momentum. I think there's been positive momentum all month. We just, we're all still a little bit like, that losing that 13-point lead to UCLA stings, and we haven't forgotten about it. But I think, if you found a way to not stub your toe there, I think the mood's totally different. But it is what it is, and ultimately, I like where we're at because I feel like I know where we're going, and ultimately, we're going to be judged by how we play in the Big 12. And so, let's go.
Going off of that, what do you think is the biggest lesson or takeaway that you've had about your team from non-conference going into Big 12 play?
You got to take advantage of opportunities. You got to play as a team. We're best when everyone contributes. We're not a one-man show, and we never have been, and no one's professed that we are. But we just have to have that vibe that it's kind of like we want to make each other better. And there's a willingness to do that, and there's an eagerness to do that, and I think we're taking steps in that direction.
Okay. When Philip does what he does, KJ said, it frees up other things for the other guys. So no one-man band, but it helps the other.
There's no doubt. He's a guy that I guess the term, the trendy term in basketball is gravity. He has a lot of gravity. He has a lot of eyes on him, a lot of bodies, a lot of things go towards him. So he can create space for others. And, I think, even though the last couple games at Delhi maybe hasn't started well, he told me today that maybe I should think about having him finish rather than start, jokingly at the end of the game, because he's made his last few shots, in these games. But I think even starting him a little bit, it's kind of, you feel the effects of both their gravity. It just creates some openings out there for other guys to operate and for themselves.
How important were reseedings for guys like Conrad and Emmanuel's stuff as well?
I think it's important for all those guys, but Conrad's a good player, and when I put my head on the pillow at night, I want to play him. I want to play him more. Big E, the staff's been on me to give him some chances, and now that we know Big Mo's not probably going to be back for a while, it makes sense to give him some chances. I thought today was the best he's looked ever playing basketball. And I've watched him in high school, I've watched him there, but he looked really good today, so that was encouraging. Another guy that I think that really played well today, just kind of maybe accumulated stats late, was Carter. I thought Carter played really well. I think I can really see huge progress in him the last few weeks. I think he's kind of settling in, figuring out how to make an impact, and when one of the greatest things about Carter when he was young is his ability to pass the basketball and his willingness to pass it. And I think we're kind of seeing that again, and then he can also make a catch and shoot 3. So he showed that again, and now he's got a better understanding of what we're trying to do defensively, and he's kind of just settling in, and I think that's exciting for Arizona basketball.
Carter talked a lot about his relationship with KJ and how KJ has made it a lot easier for him to settle in. What's their relationship been like in your perspective?
Well, I think there's a little bit of a big brother, little brother deal there. I think, Carter's a guy who, he's loved by all. But he's got 2 younger sisters. He's always been the oldest sibling. And I think, KJ's kind of taken a little bit of a role in his life as just kind of the guy that's a year or two older, a mentor. Hey, I've been through this. This is what you got to be thinking about. And here's how you got to approach it. There's going to be some tough days. And I think, and Carter's an emotional guy. And so is KJ. So I think it's important for both of them to talk things out and talk to each other and through tough times. You can't always come from coach because, sometimes coming from me, the message might be pretty direct, or it might be a little abrasive. So when they can get it from each other, I think that support's amazing.
Both those guys that were in here, Carter and KJ, both talked about how they got through this over the hump, kind of a lot of it team bonding or trusting, liking each other, or whatever. Was there anything in the last week or so that extra that they did together, or to kind of break this up?
I will just say that we've probably been since kind of our initial struggle started, we probably have been a little more intentional with how we're going to drive things within the culture. Yeah. That could be meetings, that could be it could be a shared video clip, it could be a conversation, and at the end of the day, your culture and your vibe is the most important thing. Because that's going to be the bedrock foundation of everything that you do, and so sometimes results get us distracted from that, and in order to reset, you can't just focus on the result. You got to kind of focus on the bedrock foundation, which is your culture. So we got to get back to that. And hey, and I'll just say this about culture: there's no perfect culture. And in culture, especially within a highly competitive team environment, is something you're working on every single day. And there's going to be some good days and there's going to be some tough days. And so, we've kind of, maybe, scaled things down a little bit and really simplified and kind of gotten back to, how we want Arizona basketball to feel.
I was just wondering, in light of, like you said, distracted, I'm wondering if you kind of break that, take them to top golf or bowling or anything crazy?
Yeah, we have. Sometimes, Bruce, you just got to talk things out. Sometimes it is about get a bunch of guys in a room, and whether it's video or pizza or whatever, and we got to talk it out. And there's definitely been some of those moments, and it's individual meetings, it's group meetings, it's team meetings, it's players talking to players. All those things contribute to it. And you know what? There's not too many times you meet just one time and you solve everything. So you just got to stay on it. And so I think we've done a better job the last few weeks of being back on it.
Do you give your players any sort of homework during this break, like anything you want them to do?
Rest, relax, love your family, hang out. That's the homework for me.
Stay away from the basketball?
Get hungry. Get hungry, because we know we come back. We're excited to be, starting this Big 12 thing we've been talking about for 20 months. We're fired up. We're hungry.
What do you see as a key player for this game?
Man, that's interesting. I always think of the acronym TTE, Total Team Effort. That's what always goes through my head. But obviously, I know, when Caleb plays well, it opens up a lot of things. I think Jaden's really been steady the last, few weeks at the point guard position, has really kind of settled into being able to score and distribute and just run and operate the team. I'm seeing our bigs, the collective, the group of those bigs, being more productive as a group. So, one player, I don't know if I quote unquote have one, because we always want to be team driven. So that's going to be the focus. I think we're going to be at our best when we have 8 or 9 guys contributing every night.
The team was more aggressive. I think KJ led that too. I could be wrong. But the team looked aggressive in addition to the offensive type of thing you're doing.
Yeah, listen, we played great defense tonight. Here's what's not being talked about, or at least I wouldn't know, because I don't listen to sports radio or whatever. Listen, if Ollie Furring is a sports media personality, I don't know if I need to be listening. And I love Ollie, but he's no Justin Spears. And I don't read the paper. Sorry, Bruce. Any of you guys' online stuff.
You're not making any of us happy.
Huh?
You're not making any of us happy.
And I'm not making any happy. But, so give me back to that question again for you.
Just aggressiveness. And KJ was part of it.
Yeah, listen, KJ came in and played really well. And he kind of was able to, make some things happen underneath that zone defense that got us going, which is great. KJ, listen, we know how good of a player he is. And for him to kind of give up that starting position, but show that he can come in a game and first impact like he did in the first half today was tremendous.
Well, Conrad's, I think he's got 1 assist all year, 16, or one turnover, 16 assists, something crazy like that. I know there's more to it than that, but is he changing the equation where, maybe instead of KJ playing the point, you go to him more, or is it depend on the opponent, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes there's like a little bit of a player moves a position that opens up an opportunity. Big Mo goes out. So that opens up an opportunity for maybe Carter to get more minutes at the 4, which, or E-Man to get a few more minutes at the 5. And then when Carter goes to the 4, that kind of opens up some opportunities in those 3 backcourt spots, for maybe, those main 4 guards, KJ, Caleb, JB, and Deli, to rotate amongst the spots. And so now maybe you can mix in Conrad here and there and listen, Conrad's a young player, and I think you guys see he's got something to him, and I've always seen that. It's just good that it's that it's happening in some of these games, because I think now he'll gain some confidence from that, and his teammates will gain confidence from that.
Kind of going off of that, in terms of his aggressiveness to try to score the basketball, how important was that for him the last couple games?
I mean, I just tell Conrad, here's the deal. You don't have to prove to me you're a good player. I know you're a good player. You just got to go in there, and the team has to operate efficiently when you're in there. So I don't need you going in there and proving to me that you're a good player by trying to do things that are too difficult. Just drill the game down, keep it simple, make sure when you're on the court that we're flowing. If you have an open shot, take it, because I know you can make it, and let's really keep it that simple. And I don't want him to feel like, sometimes with these guys, and it happens, when you have a young player or a guy that's, playing a new role, sometimes they try a little bit hard because they want to show you they can maybe do more. And maybe I just need this contribution right here is to stay in this lane, and you try to do more, and maybe it'll be counterproductive. So I think he's really found that sweet spot of just kind of staying in his lane and doing this, and I think the team's he's played really well when he's been on the floor.
You mentioned coming up maybe with some concepts for Emmanuel. I know it's still early in that process, but what do you think about him going forward with the Big 12? Is he the kind of guy maybe as you see a game going or with an opponent in particular that he would work, or do you think you'll regularly go to him maybe whatever 5 minutes? I
mean, it's still a little bit of a work in progress, but I think you're seeing a guy like him that if a team is they say they're in drop coverage, and you guys can look up what that is, but if they're in drop coverage, you can kind of get downhill in some of your ball screens. He's a guy that can go out and catch lobs. Yeah. Say a team's putting 2 guys on the ball, so now they're more of a hedge or a trap type scenario. Maybe so now you're playing through like a short roll with your big. I don't know if he's that guy yet. So I think a little bit it'll be just like style play, but the biggest thing is going to probably be like fight and fouls. If we need fight and there's foul trouble, E-Man's a great guy to give an opportunity.